new meme on Twitter, the new trending topic. So give us 1 second to get set up, but let's get our speakers up on the chairs too, our guests.
So I switched over to you.
Okay, great.
The box there. So let's go out. We're using this?
Yeah. So, can everyone hear me? Okay. Thank you for coming to our Wei Dianying event. I guess we have some new people coming in. Okay, great. No problem. We haven't even started yet. So, first, let me introduce our two speakers, or two guests, I should say. First, we have Director Hayward Mack. She is, and I wrote all this down to be sure I get it right, a graduate of City University of Hong Kong in creative media and has become one of the up-and-coming directors from Hong Kong in the feature film area. So after winning a number of awards, including IFVA and several other kind of young filmmaker awards, and also winning awards overseas in short film festivals, including Taiwan and Europe, she's also become kind of a rising star in the actual feature film industry. She was nominated for Best New Director previously, for one, and then won the Hong Kong Film Award for Best Screenplay, right? Screenplay for Love in a Puff, which was co-written with renowned director Pang Ho Chung. That was what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Okay, so, and she's already done 3 feature films, including High Noon, X, and then most recently the Joey Young film Diva, which you may have seen all the ads on all the buses came out last month. So in addition to that, she's also done a number of commercials and Wei Dianying. So that's why we invited her, because she has sort of the background in traditional filmmaking as well as experience in this new area. Our other speaker is Keen Yim from Ogilvy, China, and I'm going to make sure I get your...
I'm totally not half as cool as her.
I
Other
agree.
than making like 50 ads in my career.
I agree. That's not as
nothing
cool.
as cool as her.
Yeah. So your title is Digital Engagement Planning at Ogilvy, China, which is up in Shanghai.
A more complicated title than she
and
does.
you have won multiple awards, including Effie Awards and Asia Marketing Excellence Awards for your work in the marketing area. Okay, so the key thing that as we talk today, you'll see Keen has done a lot of really great work in the Wei Dianying area in China. So let's get started. This is going to be a pretty informal kind of just Q&A with everyone, and we've kind of wound up some of the past work of these two guys, and we'll play some videos as well. First, let me, just for everyone who might not be familiar, so microfilm is kind of a new term. It's actually the translation of a Chinese term, Wei Dianying, which literally means, Dianying means film or movie, and Wei means micro. So what's the difference between a mini film and a microfilm, or a short film and a mini film? It's not a matter of the length, it's actually more of the way that it's made. So this is my personal interpretation, and we can get some feedback from these guys. But a key thing in terms of, for those who don't speak Chinese, is that micro blogs, the term is Weibo in China, so everyone knows about Sina Weibo. So they use the same kind of prefix for micro in front of Dianying, and it becomes sort of a catch-all, which could also mean something like a short film made for Weibo, for sharing on social media. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of looking at it is it's just a short film that's made specifically for online, as opposed to going to film festivals and sort of traditional sort of filmmaking, short filmmaking. So that's kind of the background, and my computer's turned off. And so now let me jump to Keen. So for today's talk, first we're going to talk to Keen mostly about his background, the background of microfilms, in general and specifically for marketing, and then I want to spend the rest of the talk talking to Hayward about her experience as a filmmaker working in Wei Dianying, and then finally we'll open up for any other questions for both of them. So the first question for Keen is, like, how do you feel like this whole Wei Dianying as a field kind of got started?
Well, hi everybody, I'm Keen. I get nervous usually the first couple of sentences, so I'll usually just babble along. Actually, just a short introduction about myself. I work in Shanghai, actually. I started my career in Hong Kong with Ogilvy and Mather. I still am with Ogilvy and Mather, but the last 6 years was actually in Shanghai. And like Ralphie have said, Wei Dianying, Mei Dianying, 廣東話. Now has become a very popular marketing tool in many of our clients right now. And its popularity actually really started around, I think, 2 years ago. And the first Wei Dianying was actually done by Pang Houchang in China, with sponsored by Samsung, with Zhou Xin. It's actually the really start of it, and there's a small clip just to give you a taste of what it was. It's quite freaky, actually. This is the trailer for it, but it was at that time basically the YouTube equivalent of China, which is Youku. You know, they decided that they want something with a bit more entertaining value on their platform. So they basically commissioned Pang Houchang to work a couple stories up, and it's sponsored by Samsung. And that was really the first time where you would kind of call it like branded entertainment and branded content kind of got into this space, and it took off very rapidly because I think there was over like 100 million views of this sort of series. So that really got marketers' attention, saying that, hey, maybe we can do something like that. And that was sort of how the term Wei Dianying kind of start having a lot of buzz, and consumers got interested in it, and brand and marketers also got interested in it. So that was really the start.
So let me ask just briefly about that specific video. It seemed pretty creepy and I guess kind of very Pang Houchang for those who know his movies. In this case, it was sponsored by Samsung, but it was really like a horror story or something. It wasn't phone-centric at all, right?
I think one of the first thing I want to talk about, about Wei Dianying, and what it is, well, what is the difference between a Wei Dianying or microfilm compared to just a long-form video or an advertisement, right? You look at that, right? There's no phone in there. The Samsung, there's only just a logo in it. It was basically the whole thing was a film project by Pang Houchang and sponsored by Samsung. So if you call it film, my personal take of it is it's got to be entertaining first. Right. Otherwise, it's just a long ad, basically. If it's brand centric, and when it's brand centric, people don't really forward it. And hence, when you call it Mei Dianying, which is very closely linked to Weibo in China, it has this social viral ability to spread, and people only spread stuff that they find entertaining. So I think that's the first distinction I would like to make with what really constitutes a true Wei Dianying, Wei movie compared to just long form advertising.
Okay, cool. So, so that's the start. That was what, how many years ago was that?
I think that was really 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And so since then, there's been a lot of development as far as, even in non-commercial sense, as far as generating this sort of new genre of entertainment. Do you have you want to share any other good examples of sort of taking this to a further step?
Yeah. So basically, I think when the Samsung one that was like I think 2 years ago, and then in that year there were around 20 Wei movies, and what happened I think this year the latest count was there was around 300. So it was basically a huge number of growth, and there's a lot of companies started just to make these sort of microfilms, and the budget ranges from 50,000 RMB to actually all the way up to, I've heard, it's like $10 million. It's serious budgets being put behind these films. I want to share one of the Way movie. Is that the official term now?
Microfilm.
I kind of get all over the place. I want to share one of the Way movie I've done myself, and I want to talk a bit about the because I'm supposed to do it from the commercial sense, not the art sense. It was actually for Johnny Walker. And I want to talk about a bit about the background, right? Well, Johnny Walker, does anybody drink Johnny Walker here? No? Too many? Okay. Probably a lot of people know their tagline, keep walking, right? You know, it's about people progressing forward. So the problem with the brand in China is that a lot of people know about it, but they feel that this idea of keep walking is quite remote. It's quite far from their life, right? We used to shoot a lot of ads having happy people drinking alcohol, and then once you drink Johnny Walker, everything is fine, which is definitely not true. So what we did was, it will make you feel better short term, but your problems will still be around. And I think when you talk about building a connection with consumers these days with social media, is the level of authenticity needs to be there. So what we decided to do was, okay, let's not show and talk about drinking anymore. Let's focus on building a connection with the consumers. And we want to do it by showing what is really happening in China. Who are the people who are really walking forward and really pushing society forward? I mean, with the cultural context that China is moving extremely fast forward, but the downside of progress is that, sometimes it's not as good as it is. So we had a film project showing these people. This is one, and I'll play it, and then I'll talk through who this person was and how it came about.
我们非要把你给杀掉不可。我觉得你们已经把这些人害得这么惨，总得有人站出来说话。我说这个事我管到底了。
这是我刚拿到的检测报告证据，你看一看。
好，开始拿吧。20年新闻生涯，遇到的危险的事儿很多了。当然，像这样的故事，在这些年的采访中，经常会遭遇。按照我们甘肃兰州当地的土话，我就是一根筋，一根筋就是倔强，傻傻的，一个胡同走到底，碰到头破血流也要坚持走到最后。就好多人说是你怎么就这么好管老百姓的闲事，老百姓的痛苦，老百姓的这种悲情，老百姓的这种遭遇，你能管得过来吗？我觉得我这人心太软，就是我看到别人痛苦和受难、受罪，我心里就难受的不成。
我刚才也说了，就是说我不求什么发展。我只求孩子，我孩子有个生存权就行。
记录，你看一下刚才做的记录。
我说我当然，所有的事情管不过来。
你给我签字，在你名字上。
事情的改变总是一点一点，我能帮一个人就帮一个人，我能说句公道话我就说句公道话。所以就是努力了不一定能改变，但是不努力将永远不会改变。
So this guy, I don't know how many people got the context of this. Wang Kechin is a very famous investigative reporter in China. I think you guys all understand, the media landscape in China.